I am Vinnie Tortorich. Folks, your good intentions have been stolen, but don't worry. I'm here to help you get them back. You may be soft and succulent at the beginning of this process, but hang in there. Before long, you will be lean and mean, guaranteed. Yeah. It's the Wednesday. Well, it might not be the Wednesday show. This show might come out on Friday. I shouldn't have said that. We're recording ahead of time because I'm off somewhere in the world. At any rate, on the other mic is the beautiful, the vivacious, the one, Mr. Chris Shaffer. Yeah. So, Chris, how's it going today, man?
It's going great, man. I would not have recognized that version. Isn't Dire Straits? Don't they have a version of that song?
Well, yeah, Mark Knopfler is Dire Straits.
Okay.
I think that one came out towards the end when they were breaking up pretty much, and it was a lot of Mark. I don't know.
Just him by himself.
No, but it was with Dire Straits. So, do you know what I have here, Chris? Do you know what this is?
Kombucha.
That's the booch. That's the booch. I'm making booch, baby. I've been drinking the booch. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to have a sip of it right now. So this is after the second fermentation. Look how nice that is. It's nice and sudsy and foamy. So
almost, Vinny, that's kind of the color of Mountain Dew right now.
It kind of looks like urine to me, like a bottle of urine. So I've learned a lot about the booch. They tell you when you do the second fermentation, when you put it into these bottles, right? These bottles are real thick. The second fermentation is when you block it off and the bottles can build up that gas and it goes into the product, right? They tell you to add upwards of for 16 ounces, like a half a teaspoon to a teaspoon more of sugar so that, it can keep fermenting. Okay. I threw a lot of booch away because it was so sweet. It was like, wait, this is like drinking straight sugar, right? But then I made more and I tried other things like number one, not putting any extra sugar. It becomes a really good, hard, tart kombucha. So, you're just getting basically the vinegary, and all of the stuff. It keeps growing in there, which is good. I also put a few little pieces of strawberry in two of the bottles, and that continues to ferment. And it tastes like a strawberry to some degree.
Strawberry E?
Yeah, strawberry E. But again, it becomes a sweet thing, right? And I'm trying to avoid that. The thing I like more than the plain is something I just tried the other day. I put jalapenos in one of them, chopped them up, put them in there.
I get that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's my drink right there. That is my drink, Chris.
If you suffer from someone who lives in your house that always takes your stuff,
yeah,
not just making your own kombucha, but jalapeno kombucha, that's a great way to just make sure that no one ever touches your stuff ever again.
Oh,
you're like, I tried to steal one of his bottles or whatever that thing is that he's making, and it was kind of spicy, and I'm not sure. It looked like urine and tasted like vinegar with jalapenos in it, so I don't know. Yeah. I'm a jalapeno person, and that is one thing, Vinny, that I do not understand about where I live.
Yeah.
They have salty, they have fatty, they have sweet, they have sour.
Yeah.
They don't do spicy.
You live in Central America.
I live in South America, but still. So there's one species of peppers that grows here, and there's supposedly two varieties of them, right? There's a sweet version and a spicy version. They look exactly the same. I'm pretty sure it's like a bell pepper, like a yellow bell pepper, a green bell pepper, red bell. It's all the same thing, just picked it. I swear to God, that's what they do with these things. Because you can go into a grocery store and you're like, these are the spicy ones, right? And it says spicy right on it. And the guy that's putting them in is like, those are spicy as heck. And you bite into it, it's the sweet one. And you buy one from the sweet one, it's the spicy one. Like, this is ridiculous.
They don't even know what they're selling?
Well, it looks exactly this. Unless you physically taste it, you wouldn't know the difference, right? Like it's It's insanity. And they're like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the spicy one because that's what it says on the box. And it's like, okay, it's a crapshoot. But I can at least get jarred jalapenos here, which has kind of been a godsend. And then we got recommended a restaurant by one of Michelle's clients who said, if you want some Mexican food, you got to go here.
Right.
And it's one of these places where the guy used to be a head chef and had opened a few different Mexican places. And after COVID, he said, I don't want to ever run a restaurant again, but I really like cooking for people. So if he's awake, it's open. The first floor of this guy's house. Mexican dude that ended up in South America. He has a garden in the back that has habaneros and everything. And he's like, oh, you like spicy? Here, have my salsa. Not the salsa that I put on the table, right? Like, oh, if you like that, I have some habanero salsa. It's in the fridge because no one ever asked me for it, but I put it on my stuff. So I found a little bit of a source, but
You got a
it's
guy.
mind-boggling. I got a guy. I got a pepper guy now.
Yeah, you got a guy.
Okay.
Yeah. Look,
there's like two kinds of hot sauce in the hot sauce aisle, right? Like that's what we're dealing with.
Well, Chris, if you ever start making the booch down there, you're gonna have to try the jalapeno booch.
A jalapeno booch.
Yeah, it's so far it's my favorite because I can do it without putting any additional sugar. As a matter of fact, when I do the second fermentation now, I just let it keep eating the same sugar it was eating in the first fermentation, and you're getting more of the sugar out, right? And I got to tell you, I'm really enjoying these damn things. I mean, this is like a 16-ounce bottle, and that's what I have left from earlier today. I hammered most of it right after I got off my bike, my indoor bike, and I was like, my throat's getting a little sore here. We're doing a couple of shows in a row. Might as well bring out the booch. Oh yeah, good stuff.
And embracing your real redneck roots.
Yeah.
Instead of making straight up moonshine, you're just lightly fermenting things to make the ancestors proud.
Yeah, I'll get into the shine at some point. Chris, what are we talking about today? You got anything over there?
So we got a couple things. Do you want to start with the reason that women don't lose as much weight immediately on keto, or the fact that they are literally serving lab-grown meat in restaurants already?
Let's start with the reasons for women, and then we'll go towards lab-grown meat because I'm so sick of lab-grown meat.
So I think you're going to understand this intuitively, but Frontiers in Nutrition put out a study this week that was like a meta study, right? They studied all the studies. What's the word that I'm looking for? Kind of a roundup of all the different studies that have been done on the keto diet. And they found that, yeah, it's true. The anecdotal experiences that we all have that men typically lose weight faster with keto is true. And they were able to figure out a few different reasons for it. Thing number one, and I want to see if you agree with this, but basically what they said is most of these studies, men lost an average of 11.6% body weight and women lost about 9%. So you're still losing weight.
That's not a huge amount of weight. So wait, hang on. Men lost how much on average and what kind of time?
11.6%. They said the average
5 pounds percent. Okay.
Yeah.
So
and then about
good.
9% for women over whatever the averaging of the study periods were.
Okay, got it.
Thing number one, they're saying, look, testosterone just makes it easier to mobilize fat. It just is easier to lose weight when you have more testosterone, which I guess makes some sense. But I would also argue is a reason we should all be exercising and sleeping right anyway, right? Women have testosterone. The things that create testosterone in women are the same things that create testosterone in men. You're just dealing with different levels.
Right.
And if you're focusing on that in addition to eating right, you're going to start to see the big benefits there. And they said there were two places where women seemed to get tripped up. The first is for women who still get their periods, that week or so right before you get your period. It's a real trick for women because your body is telling you to do nothing but eat carbs
Right.
and sit still. Is there a way around that?
It's rough, Chris. I'm going to just be like,
I understand. I'm asking another man about this, but
but you understand, when I was in Hollywood, I was basically in the female business.
Right.
Right. And, the period is a real thing. Just like when you're dealing with women going through menopause, look, men have nothing. We end up with other problems, right? We end up peeing all over ourselves because our prostates give out and everything else. So I'm not saying men don't have problems, but women, their whole reproductive system just changes overnight, right? And it is not fun for them. There's nothing fun about it. Some women skate right through it, no problem. Other women go through years of dealing with it, right? And it's real. The struggle is real, right? So there's that. But the women with the period, those years, yeah, that's a week out of every month that they have to deal with. And some women go through it way easier than others, right? But they all go through it. Make no mistake, right? And it's the ones that are lucky enough where it doesn't bother them a whole lot, where they're able to, get by, if that makes any kind of sense to you.
Yeah, and I think the two things that they found that were the biggest reasons were apparently men use free fatty acids more regularly than women. So as you're metabolizing the fat in your system in ketosis, it's easier for men to make that conversion than it is for women. And then what they're calling cycle-linked insulin sensitivity. So essentially that time where you're craving carbs,
right,
that week or so before, it's so much easier to put weight back on than it is for a man going through the month that you're seeing that change. And I think we had a conversation, I don't know if it was the last call or a couple calls ago in the VIP group with a couple that's there. And it was that exact conversation, right? Like the weight's just falling off him. Here I am trying to do everything the right way. And yeah, I'm losing weight, but I'm not losing it nearly as easily.
Well, it becomes frustrating because sometimes what happens, and I think I mentioned this during the VIP call, I've had women who have started this, they're doing it to a T. The only thing the husband's doing is following along because the wife is the one who cooks. So the man is just going, well, I'm just going to, that's what she's cooking now. I guess I'm going to eat that. And they'll call me and go, he's not even trying. And he's lost 50 pounds. I've only lost 25. Literally half the weight, right? Now, percentage wise, it's probably a lot closer, right? Because women are smaller than men just in general. So a woman losing 25 pounds when a man lost 50 pounds, it might be that 2 or 3% difference, right? But when you think that on average, women are going to have, let's say, 12 periods a year at the most, probably closer to 10. And you have 52 weeks a year. That's 1/5 of the year, right? Where, that they're going to be in a different state than a man. That's a large amount of time, right? It's kind of like, study I read years and years ago. It's like most people gain all of their weight between, Halloween and Christmas. At the end of Halloween, what happens? Well, the days get shorter. People go in earlier because it's getting dark. They're eating more junk. Then Halloween comes and they eat junk. And then a month later, you got, they say it's a candy holiday followed by a food holiday, followed by a dessert holiday, followed by a drinking holiday. And it all happens at the end of the year. Some people put on 15 pounds and then they carry that all the way through the year. That's the new normal. And they get that and then another 15 pounds they put on in the fourth quarter of every year. And the people who are cognizant enough not to do that, or even if they do it, they spend the rest, January through September getting the weight off again. And then they go back into that same spiral, that same cycle. Well, God help you. But if you're a woman and you're doing that, plus 1/5 of your year is screwed up by the fact that you have periods, it's something you can't win. You're not going to win. I'm sorry. I wish I was making this up. It's a lose-lose.
I think just having read through this, if you're aware of the mistake, which is, you're going to have a week every month where your body is screaming at you to do something that you shouldn't do, just having that knowledge gets you 80% of the way there, right? Where it's like, look, I know I'm going to have to do this. Next week is going to be a temptation, and you can start to plan accordingly. And I think some of the other things that I would take a look at is, and it may sound a little counterintuitive, but if you're not already taking magnesium, take some magnesium. Take a handful of other things. And what that helps you do is adjust that insulin sensitivity.
Yeah.
Right. And so if you're doing that and you are conscious that next week your body's going to be yelling pizza at you all week, or, cookies or ice cream with cookies in it, whatever that craving is, that it's coming and you can avoid that trap. And then knowing that you're going to be more, the word that I'm looking for, more ready to put on weight. You have less room for life into living during that week or so, because your body will not treat it the same way that it will the week after that. Right?
That was
trying to pack on the calories.
I followed along, Chris, but it was a bit contrived. Yeah, I get where you are. But yeah, you want to ramp, you want to hit that ramp as hard as you can, because it gets steep. It's almost hockey stick steep, and you want to hit it as hard as you can so you can make it through.
Yeah, and I think, like everybody talks about, you and I have talked about calories in, calories out. Not that calories don't matter, but it's not the whole picture, right? If you had a piece of cake for your life into living this week, it might not do anything to you. But if you have it when you're more insulin sensitive and your body is screaming for it because you're going into that phase of your life, you don't end up with the same result, right? You don't wake up the next day and go, okay, I don't need more cake. You wake up a pound heavier for no reason other than your body has told you that it decided it wanted to add the cake instead of working through the cake. I don't know. I thought that was interesting because it's something that comes up all the time, and it's a question that people have. It's something we get, I don't know, every few weeks in the VIP group. And there's science behind it. It's not you. You're not imagining it. It literally is easier for men, but you're still heading in the right direction. And that, I think, is the thing that I would take away from it. It's not that it doesn't work for women. It still works really well. And if we're talking 9% versus 11%?
We're talking 2%.
Yeah. I mean, it's negligible at the end of the day. It's just easier to get frustrated with it because you're not going to see as consistent results as maybe your husband, your boyfriend, your brother, whoever.
And the chasm, as I said, we're going to move on to lab-grown meat, but the chasm seems even bigger because on average, men are taller, bigger, and can carry more weight, therefore can lose more weight. So it looks a lot different. So the number is even bigger than 2%. It seems bigger than 2% because they're losing a bigger percentage of their weight. What do you have on lab-grown meat, Chris?
So apparently, Vinny, restaurants in the UK are clamoring for lab-grown meat.
Clamoring, you say?
According to our friends over at the BBC. So who knows? But is it something that we should even be considering?
Well, I think Italy said no to it whatsoever. All right. So let's get past the confusion. What is lab grown meat versus, remember, Beyond Burger and Impossible Meat and all this kind of stuff? How is lab grown meat different than those? How does it start? How does it end?
So I did not know that you were going to bring the booch on this show, but it's essentially the same process, right? You start with a little bit of booch, you give it a little bit of sugar, and then you end up with a lot more booch.
Right.
Same deal here. As opposed to a pea protein or a soy protein or a God knows what is in the 45 ingredients in Impossible Burger type of protein, it's meat. But they start at the cellular level and then essentially grow the cell culture, right? So you're not like 3D printing a steak, but you're taking what makes up meat and growing it from there. Does that make sense?
It does. The question becomes, why? Was meat broken? I didn't realize steak was broken. I didn't realize the hamburger was broken. Now, I can understand why a vegan or the vegan people would like to do like Impossible Burger, where it's basically a soybean based product with a bunch of other junk to make it somehow look and taste and smell like meat. Because they're trying, they're going, I refuse to eat meat. Meat is bad for you. But because I'm an animal, I'm carnivorous, I want meat. Therefore, let's masturbate. Basically, it's meat masturbation is what I call it, right? If you can't get the real thing, you might as well masturbate.
Yeah, literally food porn. Yeah.
It's food porn. So they're going, we don't believe meat is something humans should ever eat. Please give me something that resembles meat. I get Impossible Burgers and Beyond, what is it? Beyond Burgers and Impossible Meat or so, I don't know.
Impossible Foods. Yeah. Or no, what's the other one? No chick, no egg.
So here's the thing. They're actually taking meat and growing it in the lab, right? So they're taking all the proponents. So I'm guessing that this is not a vegan food, right? So a vegan still wouldn't eat this. Is that my understanding, or where are we on that?
Maybe. So,
well, if you're starting with meat by product, you're starting with meat to grow meat, right?
And you're not getting like a steak out of this. It's going to be more like ground beef or sausages. The one company I found, which was kind of the point of the BBC article, because they're a British company, does sausages and those kinds of things, because it's not texture necessarily, because you're just, remember back in high school chemistry class, like the cell culture, or when you left that French fry in your car too long and it started growing hair. Basically, that's what they're doing with meat. Their marketing message is interesting. So their marketing message is essentially everything that you hear from Impossible Burger about why to eat it, except they don't call it vegan. So the marketing pitch is almost identical. If you go to their website, it says, what if we could eat meat and not harm animals? What if our science could change the world? What if we could love animals, not kill them? Sounds like a vegan thing to me, right? But essentially, they're just making the same argument. The two arguments that they really make are animal welfare, I think everybody agrees with, right? No one likes an industrial slaughterhouse.
Right.
No one has ever said that that's a good idea. I don't think you have to stop eating meat because some of it's produced in a crappy way. We just have to find a better way to source the meat.
Right.
And the other one, I think, is your favorite, Vinny, which is if we grow meat in a lab, we will stop climate change because we don't have to have cows.
Okay, so there's a lot to unpack here. So let's start with climate change. the whole idea that there's global warming, and people call me a climate denier. No, I'm not denying there's a climate. I'm denying what you're telling me is the truth. Right? I saw Bernie Sanders on something on Joe Rogan the other day going, no, the earth is getting warmer. It is getting warmer by the day. Right? It's warmer now than ever. And Joe Rogan put a thing up and go, no, the earth is now cooler than it's been in the past umpty-ump years. So where did your science come from? Politician who just walked in and said, global warming is a thing. And then a comedian can tell him, no, it's not. I have news right here that says it's not. Turns out Joe Rogan's news is the correct news, right? Because it's taken from actual science. The earth is in a cooling trend. The temperature of earth has gone up and gone down. We've had both ice ages and heat waves and everything else. Right now, they're yelling global warming. I don't know if you noticed, but they changed their pitch to climate change, right? Because they don't know what the fuck is going on. So instead of saying, when I was a kid, they told us that the ice caps were we were going into an ice age back in the 1970s. If we don't do anything, we're going into an ice age. So we got to watch our shit right now. And then after that, they told us about acid rain, right? U2 wrote a song called, The Streets with No Name. That was the acid rain song. All the acid was going to wash the signs away. That's the poetry behind that. Where's acid rain today? What happened to it? I think we've gone enough years past the little girl yelling, "I dare you!" How dare you? How dare you? What's her name? Help me, Chris. Zola Budd or something. I don't know. That's a runner. How dare you? How dare you? The little girl that needed help. She shouldn't have been doing that.
Greta Thunberg.
Greta Thunberg. So Greta Thunberg, how dare you? All right. My generation in 7 years won't have anything. Guess what? That was about 7 years ago. Was that 7 years? When was the how dare you speech? How many years ago was that? Because according to Greta, it was going to be 7 years. And I think we're up on that number now. So it'd be interesting to know when that was. What happened?
2019 UN Action Summit.
Okay, so we're 6 years into her 7 years. Is it going to happen in the 7th year? I'm just wondering because she goes, it's all over with in 7 years. And I've been hearing about 7 and 10 years since I was a kid. I used to get scared by this stuff. I'm now 63 years old. When's it going? And we know it's a cooling trend. So this whole we're saving the planet from meat is so backwards and so ludicrous. Okay, so am I to understand that all ruminants are ruining the planet? If that's true, guess who's a ruminant? Bambi. Bambi's a ruminant. We need to kill a deer on sight.
Which, by the way, the biggest flaw in that argument, other than a misunderstanding of the nitrogen cycle, because when we talk about cow farts, we're not talking about carbon dioxide. They're talking about nitrogen, right?
Right.
Where does the nitrogen in the cow farts come from? The nitrogen cycle, right? It's part of the natural cycle of the planet. Unlike something like carbon dioxide, where we're taking something from the ground and putting it in the air, it's a very different thing. But also, there's fewer ruminants now than there have ever been, right? Like, Vinnie, you ever seen some of those pictures when we were settling the West?
Mm-hmm.
And there's just people shooting rifles out a train at thousands and thousands and thousands of buffalo, right? Like, the amount of cattle that are on planet Earth right now comes nowhere near the number of ruminants that we had in the past. So if they're really a problem, we should want more cows, not fewer cows, right? Because it was fine in the 1800s when we had more of them. So shouldn't we be looking for a balance there? The other marketing trap that they fall into, and it's something I know you've addressed, and it comes up every time, is, did you know, Vinnie, that it takes 15,000 liters of water for 1 kilogram of beef?
Oh, they've been pushing it. My buddy Rich Roll I used to say, Rich, you're making yourself sound like an idiot. Please stop. Cattle, goats, sheep, giraffe, bison, moose, elk, yaks, water buffalo, deer, camels, alpacas, llamas, and antelopes. Okay. We can take care of the cattle, the goat, and the sheep because we farm those, right? I mean, we could just stop breeding those.
You could probably throw alpacas and llamas in there too.
Hang on. Giraffes. Should we go out and kill the rest of the giraffes? Bison. They run free. Should we go kill all the bison? Moose. Elk. Should we kill them all? Yaks. Water buffalo. Deer. Camel. Which ones do we kill to help this environment? Bernie Sanders. I'm just asking for a friend. Antelope. Should we kill them all? If we have if ruminants are the problem, okay, we got a few of them. We got sheep, goat, and cattle that we farm, that we grow on purpose. We breed them in it. And as Chris said, you could probably throw llamas in there, maybe alpacas, maybe. But the rest of them, do we just go, do we get these airplanes and just mow them down? If there's such a problem, if ruminants are such a problem, I need to know which ones we need to get rid of. I think we need to get rid of all of them. And I just named a few. I like a giraffe. It's a pretty cool looking. Have you ever seen a Cape buffalo?
Yeah. I was going to ask if you've ever watched giraffes fight.
Oh, that's the craziest fight you've ever seen. Yeah.
Just use your head like a morning star for no reason. Essentially what they're saying, Vinny, is this is the only way to continue to be able to eat meat.
No,
because by 2050,
okay,
the demand for meat is projected to double.
Okay, guess what? We just grow more cattle. Or guess what? We start killing more Bambis because that's a lot of good meat. Serena hit one. It walked right in front of a car, just ran right. It ran into her last winter. And she called me from the road. She goes, "Oh my God, I'm so nervous. I just killed a deer." And I think I told you the story. I got home before I even went out back. I got my buck knife out, and I got some pliers and all because you want to strip the skin and the whole thing. She goes, "What are you doing?" I went, "We got a deer, right?" And she's like, "I didn't bring it home." It's like, "You killed a deer and you left it?" And she goes, "You were going to eat that?" I went, "Yeah, that's free meat. The thing died in vain."
Can you imagine 200 years ago, some pioneer dude walking through the forest, a deer runs, smacks its head against a tree and kills itself by accident, right? Like trips and falls. And he's just like, "Well, I don't want that one. It wasn't sporting."
Yeah.
I didn't drive my car through the woods. It came in front of me. It's there. I might as well take advantage of it.
Or, it falls off a cliff. You're at the bottom of the cliff. The thing lands there. You got free food. Sometimes it falls out of the sky. It's like, why didn't you bring that home? She goes, "I was nervous. I didn't know." It's like, honey, next time you hit a deer, call me. I'm going to come get it. I'll strap it to the hood of my car. I'll get it home. That's free food. I get it. You're upset. You just killed the thing. Right?
Nobody wants to do that, but it's
No.
there.
No.
So it turns out that the marketing side of this, Vinny, is exactly what you were talking about. And the ironic thing is they've done a few studies, and you may remember back when Impossible Burger came out, said, "Oh yeah, it's so much better for the planet." And the way that they were able to figure that out was by not counting the emissions from transportation or the production, right? And so it turns out that growing meat in a lab takes a boatload of electricity, which is not something that you need to grow a cow in a field. And so they may actually, as they scale up, contribute more to polluting the atmosphere than they could possibly reduce in terms of the cows that are not being killed, if you agree with that marketing. Because where does that energy come from? Coal power plants, burning oil, all of those kinds of things. So it turns out that the marketing side of this is exactly what it always is. The real truth behind this is that even though it's technically meat, it's still got nothing but a bunch of chemicals and additives in it. Because it turns out, Vinny, you can't just grow cows in a petri dish. You have to add stuff.
Go
And what you end up with is something that theoretically has the same nutritional content as meat because you're literally growing cells of meat. But doesn't come anywhere near to an actual hamburger.
I spent a lot of time in England, and I can tell you these people, they drink beer warm beer. Their fish and chips are something to be desired. I mean, you have to really squint because the way they bread the cod is just weird. It's not like the way we bread it here. It's all greasy in there and everything. So these people, even the Brits, who have no idea how to cook.
Right. The most famous dessert is spotted dick.
Exactly. There's actually a dessert there, folks, called spotted dick. Right.
That's not a weird English phrase for
No,
some
that's
sort
the
of a
actual
transmitted
name
disease.
of.
It's an actual dessert.
I've had spotted dick.
Also, pudding is just a generic word that you can use for
any dessert,
breakfast, sausage, or dessert. Like,
yeah, yeah. Pudding is everything. Here's the thing. I can't, even in England, I can't believe anyone is clamoring for this, especially when just a few hundred yards away over in Italy, they went, no, you can't even, don't even bring it in this country. Right. We're talking about a group of people who will eat something called lardo. They went, nope, we're good. We're good. No engineered meat here. I don't know. It's just the world's gone crazy, Chris. That's all.
Well, and I think this is going to be the next big push that we see. And they're using the same exact playbook that they used for the other meat replacement, which is what this ends up being at the end of the day. And quite honestly, if you need a marketing campaign, sell it to people by telling them that it will taste just like meat. It's not meat. If it's made in a lab, marketed to you as meat, that is just better for the environment. You pair that with the, it has to be better, Vinny, because it's technology. You know that it's just another crap. It's the same thing that we saw 5 years ago with Impossible Burger.
And look, back in the day, back in the 80s and 90s, they called it veggie burgers. And basically what that was they would take mushed up, I want to say like black beans and a few other kind of beans, maybe black eyed peas or whatever, and mush it up, add some kind of flavor to it. And it was called a veggie burger. They didn't even try to call it fake meat. It was just, here's something that resembles a burger, and we're going to put it with other vegetables and put some grains around it, and we're going to call it a hamburger. I don't know if you've ever eaten one of those, but you only eat that if you truly hate your taste buds. Like if you do not like yourself and you're on your way to suicide, this is like, you know what? I just want to prove on my way to killing myself that I'm really done with life. That's when you eat a veggie burger. There is nothing good about it. Period. Let's move on. What else you have? Let's do one more and then we'll get out of here.
Would you eat a veggie burger before you would eat lab grown meat?
God, gun to my head.
Yeah.
Pull the trigger. No, yeah, because I've actually tasted a veggie burger before. So, dance with the devil. that you brung, I guess. It's the devil,
Yeah.
you know.
You got into it. Well, you didn't get into it. You called it out with our friends over at Huel Nutrition a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
About the definition of an ultra processed food.
Yeah.
Right. And they said, well, technically, we're not ultra processed. We're just processed because it comes from ingredients and then is processed. Can you think of anything that's more ultra processed than lab grown meat?
Yeah, probably Beyond Burger and Impossible Burgers and all that. That's all. That's probably worse. I'm just taking a stab at it. I haven't really looked into lab grown meat other than I know that it's grown in a petri dish and they just let it, kind of like growing mushrooms in a lab. They just let it keep growing, and then I don't know how bad that is for you. I'm sure it's not great. But when I was doing Beyond Impossible documentary, and folks, you might want to go watch Beyond Impossible. You can't make this stuff up. I don't have a horse in a race. I don't care. I just call them as I see them, like an umpire. Go watch Beyond Impossible. Anyone who puts that in their mouth, it's a carcinogen. As I told Dr. Drew when I was pushing the movie, I was on his podcast. I think Dr. Drew is actually in that documentary. Yeah, he is. I said to him, I said, I'm pretty sure that if I had to make a meal out of an Impossible Burger or Oreos, I'm going with the Oreos. It looked like a healthier option on paper. I think I can make that. I can make that argument.
It's somehow also more appealing. Like if you look at an Oreo and an Impossible Burger, like, yeah, I mean, that at least looks like food. Which is something I don't understand about any of these things. They're like, yeah, we're starting with hamburger because it's the easiest thing to do. But it doesn't look or taste or feel anything like a hamburger. So why did you try? Vinny, you're not a huge fan of fitness trackers, are you?
Not really, but I get their place. I get how people look. If it motivates someone to do something, I'm okay with it. I just don't really use them myself. Like I have on, one of these, I guess you could call this watch a fitness tracker, but I have everything turned off on this watch. Like everything, like the pulse ox meters turned off, the heart rate monitors turned off because it just runs through battery. Right. The step counter stays on. Right. But I'm not a big fan of, like, I don't go, oh my God, I can say 10,000 steps, but I get 10,000 steps every day. I don't have my 20,000, whatever I get to. It doesn't matter. Why do you ask?
So, did you know that fitness trackers discriminate against fat people?
Because they don't fit, or
apparently they don't work correctly, and this is a huge problem in the fitness industry.
Okay, hang on. Meaning because, all right, so fitness trackers are depending on getting information from your body. Right. So if you have extra fat around your wrist, I just mentioned that this watch has a pulse ox, right? I can tell you, see how loose I have this watch on right now?
Yeah.
I like to keep it pretty loose. But when the pulse ox, do people know what a pulse ox is?
Pulse oximeter.
Yeah. It's that thing when you go to the doctor, they put it on your finger and it tells you, if you don't have 98 to 100, you might have a problem. As a matter of fact, people's level when they had COVID, the people that were dying during COVID, their blood oxygen level would drop to like 87, which is dangerous, right? I don't even know if it'll do it because I have it all turned off. But on this watch, on the back, if everything was on, these things on the back here, you'll see lights when you take it off. The lights like looking for the thing. So you have to have just skin with basically nerves and everything underneath for this to pick up what's going on. If you have too much fat around your wrist, which a lot of morbidly obese people have, I can't imagine that a watch, even this is an expensive, this is like a Garmin, expensive one, right? It's not going to work. This is not going to work. As a matter of fact, as I was just mentioning, if I had the heart rate monitor turned on, as loose as I had it, it would not work. It's got to be on there tight. So is that what they're saying? It doesn't work right for them because.
So there's 3 reasons, apparently. The first is the algorithms that they use to calculate things like energy expenditure, so calories burned, some of the heart rate stuff, were trained exclusively on thin, young, and healthy populations.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're looking at it for calorie burning or
Right.
steps or whatever, and you are overweight, they're off by 30% or more.
On steps,
So
steps just depend on your arms waving back and forth.
on the arm swing, but when you're looking at the algorithm, which includes things like distance traveled that they then use to calculate the calorie burn,
mm-hmm.
it's off by 30% or more. So it's telling you you're burning 30% more calories than you are.
Okay. But who cares? I mean,
well, so that comes to the crux of the matter. Why are you so dependent on that? And apparently it's a huge problem. Because the first thing that most people do when they want to get into shape is they grab a fitness tracker or whatever to play the now I can eat the donut game. Right? So they'll say, okay, I walked off 300 calories. Now I can eat the donut. And if you're doing that and it's not correct, you end up in a much worse place. The other 2 are to the step counterpoint. People who are obese walk with much shorter steps and use different wrist angles. So it can't measure steps the same way.
You know, look, let's go back to the stupid ruminant argument. I mean, I'm sorry, right? Sorry. You know, you can't blame the company. You know, I don't. Number one, you shouldn't be using trackers. I mean, they don't matter. They just don't matter, right? If you're looking at those metrics, you know, the chase the donut. It's like the thing I said about last year when I went to Mammoth. You know, I used to go to Mammoth and places like that. You see nothing but fit people, right? Now I see people who are out of shape and they're all on electric bikes. And the argument is, well, we're still getting exercise. We're just using the electricity to go up the grades, which we wouldn't normally be able to go up. But then we use it everywhere else. You mean when you're going downhill, when you don't have to pedal again? Right? So they'll use the argument, hey, I just rode a bike 25 miles. Let's go get a beer and let's go get some pizza because we just worked out. No, you didn't work out. The bike did all the work. You sat there, right? This is me trying to be honest. You know, you got to be honest with yourself, right? You have to be honest with yourself. And if you're not, you know, you go, oh, well, Vinnie, we were in Mammoth all week. I rode a bike every day. Did you? Did you? Because everyone, the last time I was there, I wish I owned that business, that electric bike business, because everyone was on them. And I was hard pressed to see anyone actually pedal a stroke, right? It just wasn't happening. Don't get mad at the companies. Get mad at yourself and do something about it, right? Don't worry about the fitness tracker says. It doesn't matter, right? It's like that lady a few years ago. We saw we were almost at the top of Mount Whitney. Got about a mile to go. You turn that corner, you got about a mile to go. And she was beside herself. We caught up with these people. She's like, oh no, oh no, oh no. It's like, what's wrong? Are you okay? Right? She was like, My what's that tracking service? And it goes into a thing like everyone else can look at your achievements too.
Oh, like a MyFitnessPal type of a thing?
Yeah, but this one was the other one. What's some of the other ones where people, you do your route and other people can see how fast you did your route, and then like her thing,
Nike has one.
there's a few of them out there, right?
Yeah.
So she was pissed off because her thing stopped calculating. So it was almost like, okay, so it's not good enough to have the achievement of going to the highest point in the lower 48. You're upset because you weren't doing it for you. You were doing it so that you could put pictures on Instagram and tell all your friends how cool you are. And look, I just did this thing on Strava. Her Strava fucked up. She was all upset about Strava, right? It was almost like the trip didn't count because Strava didn't record it correctly.
Right. Did you really eat at a restaurant if it's not on Instagram?
Right. And it's like, how about you just enjoy the hike? What, you're going up a mountain and you're looking at Strava? Are you insane? Look around. Look around from where you are. You can see half the United States from the top of that. It's a beautiful view. But I'm talking about Conniption Fit. I haven't used Conniption Fit in a long time. The woman was throwing, she was in a tizzy over the fact that this wasn't working, to the point where her friends were trying to calm her down. Right? That shouldn't be where we are, Chris, but that's where we are.
Well, and I think the reason I asked you if you had any particular thoughts about fitness trackers is to me, it really enables one thing that I know you hate, which is counting everything and being obsessed with the counting of things. Whether it's making sure you eat exactly 1,800 calories today, or you take 10,000 steps, not 11,000, just 10,000. Right? And quite honestly, if you know that it's inaccurate, then why waste the money on it? Rather than buying a $300 smartwatch, use that to buy some steak.
Yeah.
Your phone is going to do just as accurate of a job of counting your steps today, right? If you have your phone with you, as a fitness tracker. And I think about some of the people I know, like my mom loves her Fitbit and she swears by it, but she uses it as a step counter, right? That's her thing for the day. That's her little goal, to the point where if she doesn't hit whatever her goal was that she set in the morning, she will walk up and down stairs, just, out of the second floor into the basement and back up until she hits whatever her goal is, right? That's one of her things. That's okay. But if you're using it as a weight loss strategy, you need to rethink it. Yeah. And I think it's very easy to get bogged down in the calories out or the donut game. And if you have that as a crutch, it's even easier to do that.
Right.
Because you just look down and you go, oh, I can definitely justify this pizza. So turns out that unless you are a young fit person, they're not made for you anyway. And the number is essentially a long game of whose line is it anyway. The rules are made up and the steps don't matter.
Yeah. So just get out and exercise. Remember, exercise is a poor way to lose weight, but it will magnify weight loss and health if you're eating right at the same time, right? I've worked with people in wheelchairs that are, just paralyzed, and they lose all the weight they need to lose, right? The worst thing to be is obese and being in a wheelchair, because the people who have to help you up and down and everything else can't, right? So there you have it, Chris. We're going to call it right there. Folks, purevitaminclub.com is the purest vitamins on the planet. I made these vitamins for myself, but in order to make it cost less, I had to order tens of thousands of bottles at a time. So what I did was I went, hey, let me just start a club. You guys can all be part of the club. These are the best vitamins. I source the best vitamins from around the world. and we put them together right here in the good old US of A. This is not some Chinese operation. This is not some white label operation. These are the best vitamins on the planet. So go check out purevitaminclub.com. You can check out Chris over on X. He's always trying to figure out what's going on over there. You reminded me of this song during the show, Chris. You kept saying there's reasons. And that brought up a song for me. So on behalf of Chris Shaffer, my name is Vinnie Tortorich. Put life in a living. And let's do it with Earth, Wind, and Fire, Maurice White, and the song